Welcome to the Bounty Zero X podcast. I'm your host, Angelo Adam, founder and CEO of Bounty Zero X. Bounty Zero X is a decentralized bounty hunting network powered by the BNTY token. Today is October 10th, 2018, and my guest on the show is Joe Cohen, Director of Business Development for Hyperbridge. Joe is a former VP of Operations at FS Media and has led a $15 million Series A for technology startup and has over 10 years of business development experience and is a former consultant at Deloitte. Hyperbridge is a software development firm based in Estonia, and they're currently working on developing Block Hub, which is an adaptive digital platform for content deployment. And so we're happy to have him on the show today to discuss what he's working on. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Angelo. Thank you for having me.
So let's get into Block Hub and talk about that. But first, why don't we talk a little bit about Hyperbridge and what the background is of the firm and the work that you guys have done in the past and the team. So can you give us a little intro?
Yeah, for sure. As I spoke to you I suppose, off air, I moved to Vancouver 3 years ago. And I suppose at that time, I had just started to investigate blockchain. And I started to get very interested. Ethereum was really taking off at that time. And friends of mine had bought Bitcoin. As you said, I had been working for Deloitte in London. I wasn't necessarily from a development background. But I started to go to meetups here in Vancouver, Ethereum meetups, Decentral meetups, and I started just to, get immersed in the scene here. And I met my co-founders, Eric Muser, who is a 20 years experience as a developer. He's now obviously a Solidity developer now. He's our director of technology, and Timothy Coe, at these meetups. And they were, so it's been about 3 years that we're involved. So that kind of makes us nearly veterans of this space. But we started to look into ways that, besides just investing and trading and things like that, how we could make something that was long lasting. And we were all gamers. My two co-founders more than I am, but we're all gamers. And we started to look for real use cases where we thought that decentralization or the technology could actually be used. And, we kind of came up with, I suppose, Hyperbridge, that there's a lot of, you spoke about Block Hub, which is our first product, but Hyperbridge has, we're building decentralized protocols, which have real use cases and solve real life problems, not just problems that are up in the air, or we're not a solution looking for a problem. We're very confident that we will be one of the, decentralized applications that will stand the test of time.
Yeah, that's great to hear. So tell me, what type of games do you like? What are your favorite type of?
I'm Irish. My favorite type is FIFA. I'm not really, the guys here are big into the CCG games. And I think which is good for us because maybe I'm jumping the gun a bit. I'm mainly sports games, FIFA and UFC, but Eric and Tim are big on the CCG games like Hearthstone. And as it happens, I'm on the call on my own at the moment because my Eric and Tim, my other two co-founders, are in conversations right now. Hopefully, fingers crossed, with a development studio based in Asia who are developing a CCG game that are going to come straight into Block Hub. So the platform itself, the decentralized marketplace, will be populated. That is our goal prior to launch. So and I think CCG games such as Hearthstone and there are more, they're perfect to be tokenized. They have already an inbuilt economy that can be used from fungible, non-fungible tokens. So we've had really good conversations with, and I suppose that's something that we maybe as an organization aren't communicating as well as we should be, that we really have put so much capital, both intellectual time and obviously hard currency, into the development of our platform and into outreach to business development, into reaching out to developers, because the whole crux of this, the sweet spot will be when we attract enough developers who want to come onto our platform to crowdfund, to promote, to sell, to gamify their audience. if we get the developers, the users will come. I think, I think that's for sure. That's proven across a lot of marketplaces.
So Block Hub is a child of the Hyperbridge Technologies company.
Yes.
And it's the first of multiple decentralized protocols and applications that Hyperbridge is going to be developing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose strictly from a real business sense and from my previous point that we wanted to stand the test of time, we sat down with our advisors and we've been trying to probably bite off more than we could chew initially. We're a relatively small startup. We're 10 or 11 people. And we thought we needed to show niche viability in one area. We have built, the crowdfunding protocols are completely 100% built. They can be seen in GitHub. But we are looking to build decentralized economies across many spheres. But the first one was gaming. And the reason being that I think there's a lot of synergies between the people who are hardcore gamers and the people who are into crypto. I think there's an overlap there. Maybe not, I'm not saying everybody who's a gamer is into crypto, but most people who are into crypto game as well, or have gamed, they understand the sphere. And also, strictly from a business sense, we needed to show real niche viability in one sector. So we needed to show that Angelo can go on with his game you're an independent game developer. You can go on with your game. With your game, you can show it to the platform, to our audience, who can then crowdfund it if they so wish. You can promote it. You can gamify your audience if you like, so bountify really. You can offer bounties for whether it's a bug bounty, whether it's for character development, and obviously you can distribute it, you can sell it. That's what Block Hub will be, but those crowdfunding protocols will be used across filming or independent film. They could be used across charity. They could be used across online publishing. Anything that Kickstarter crowdfunds at the moment, and Kickstarter takes between 8 and 11%. That's the price friction. They also take the time friction of a 90-day campaign. It's a lot. I've run a Kickstarter campaign. They're quite arduous. So it was anything that can be funded on Kickstarter Hyperbridge will eventually look to target those markets. But right now, gaming is obviously a huge market, and there was a lot of synergies, and we wanted to laser focus on one market initially.
Yeah. So Steam is what is known as currently the largest player in this area, but you guys aren't just a publishing platform and a platform where people can purchase games, but also a crowdfunding platform, which isn't part of Steam's feature set. So Steam has around 4,200 titles that are released on their platform, that were released on their platform in the past couple of years. So it's the major platform where games are released. Now, tell me a little bit about, in your research, what the shortcomings of Steam are and how you think it could be improved and what you're able to offer. I mean, the crowdsourcing features and some of the other features that set it apart from platforms like Steam.
Well, obviously, Steam, of itself is a very successful business and has stood the test of time. There are shortcomings, and I think for a long time now, Steam has not concentrated on independent game developers or independent game studios. I think they've been kind of very much second-class citizens on that platform. I think that's widely known. That's where we're particularly focused on. I've spoken about other kind of advisors of ours, and other people from outside have talked about us being kind of Kickstarter with Steam. Kickstarter, an amalgamation of Kickstarter and Steam. And I suppose that's where we see ourselves. We're obviously going to have the crowdfunding where somebody can kickstart their project. We're going to allow the tokenization of assets. So we're going to allow, obviously, inbuilt economies, and we're going to allow the fungible and non-fungible tokens for certain items to create revenue streams for the developers. And we're also going to do that with licenses. We're going to allow, potentially, if developers would like it, the reselling of licenses. Now, that's obviously a contentious issue with a lot of game developers, so that would be something that could be kind of switched on and switched off. So that's basically where we would consider ourselves different, is that we're focusing a lot more on independent game market rather than on the AAA studios that you see on Steam. Like Steam Greenlight was shut down. There's not much curation on Steam. You have to go through a lot of not very good content. A lot of content's just been reskinned, that people are stealing other people's content. We're going to be, obviously, it's going to be decentralized, but we're going to allow for kind of community oracles who will be able to curate content that comes in. And also we're going to allow developers to gamify their customers, which I think is a massive deal. If people who get so invested in games, if you can, from the very inception, if you can fund a game, you can promote that game, you can make that game better by bug bounties, or you can have a say in the development of a character through the gamifying of that, of a token, of a character. I think it just makes for, I suppose, a more kind of an amazing experience for a gamer, a more vicarious experience for a gamer, really, where they're severely not only invested with money, but they're invested with time, with emotion, and these are things that developers are looking for. So that's, I think, a big difference between us and Steam, is that we're going to be a lot more bespoke. We've already created our partner development plan, so we're going to be we're already attracting developers in, and we're going to be smaller, nimble. We're going to be able to be that bit more bespoke, and we're going to be able to tailor our efforts to specific developers and to gamers also.
Yeah, it seems like what I hear you saying is that you're going to foster a community around a game where people who are fans of the game can contribute to it and participate in the development of the game.
Yeah.
They can help fund it, and then they can play it, and they can do it all through the platform. Discord is doing something. Discord is like a well-known platform, a chat application that is well-known in the gaming community for users to use and stream their games on while they're playing, and also chat with other folks who they're playing with within the game. And I think as part of like monetization program for Discord that they're developing is to make it a platform similar to Steam, but I think more curated, and kind of like allowing smaller indie game developers to have pages in Discord where they can sell to the players directly while they're in the community on Discord chatting with other players. So I think that sounds like a pretty interesting partnership, the opportunity between Hyperbridge or Discord, since there's a lot of overlap in the audience. And
yeah, for sure. I think we're going to see a massive step away from. I don't even like saying the buzzword of decentralization and the kind of anti-buzzword of centralization, but of big behemoth organizations that have all this power, because the real thing is, like, one of our taglines is that we want to empower creators. So people want to be, they want to have access to funding. They want to have access to users. They want to have companies like Steam. While they do serve obviously a massive purpose, there are people that are being left behind. And when I say people, I mean development studios and developers. An independent game studio can be anyone from one person in his basement to 20 to 25 and upwards of that as well, that we've spoken to. And some of these are being left behind because the marketing budgets of the AAA studios in Steam are upwards of $50 million. They cannot fail with that marketing budget. It would take something spectacular for you to fail if you had that amount of a marketing budget. So you just want to even out the playing field a bit. There's a lot of people who are really interested in independent games, who get a lot more fun, who get a lot more utility from playing independent games. I think if they can be packaged in the right way, I think there's a massive opportunity. Yeah, and something like Discord, I must look into that. I must say, I know Discord as a messaging channel. I did not know that, so I will look into that after our call. But it's exciting times for. I think Kickstarter was the first type of 1.0 of this. Then Kickstarter itself just takes too much money. Like, realistically, it takes too much money from the creator, from the person who's trying to kickstart their project. And this is the next kind of, I suppose, wave. And I think it's a really, like, crowdfunding is an immense use case for blockchain technology.
So what is the cost on Kickstarter in your experience?
Between 8 and 11%, and that's taking into considerations Stripe or PayPal. Stripe, I believe, is. So it can be between anything 8 and 11% of your raise, which is obviously pretty big if you're only looking to raise maybe $5,000. you've lost 500 of your $5,000. And games themselves, and I can always throw out this statistic, my team are sick of me saying it, but game development is the third most highest funded vertical on Kickstarter. So, you have anything from $1,000 upwards of $1 million games have been funded. 15,000 games have been funded on Kickstarter. So the market is there. It's about, and those people are willing to spend 8 to 11%. So, it's about where our price is going to be 2%. There's going to be fees, which will be paid in our HBX, which is our token, but it will be 2%. It will also be a lot easier. And of course, you just spoke about previously, and I don't want to repeat what you said, but a developer is gaining funds from the people who are going to be buying their games. It's like you go straight from being crowdfunded on BlockHub to being put into the marketplace. Now, you don't have to be crowdfunded. We're speaking to developers who will go straight into BlockHub. They don't need crowdfunding. They just want access to maybe to the marketplace, to a new revenue stream, to the tokenization of assets.
So how do users purchase the games through the marketplace? Can they just use only cryptocurrency, only fiat, a mixture of both, certain tokens only, where you accept all tokens? How will games be purchased and paid for, and how will transactions be made on the platform?
The transactions will be in any ERC20 token, but all fees will be done through HBX. We are looking into fiat, and it is in our roadmap in the not too distant future, but to have kind of on ramps and off ramps comes with legal issues. So, we're kind of, I suppose, in discussions with our legal team about that. Things are in place, but it's, as you know yourself, you don't want to retrospectively be kind of maybe hit with a fine, or even worse, have your doors closed. So you just want to make sure everything is correct from a legal standpoint. So at the moment, everything will be heavily incentivized to use HBX. The prices will be cheaper if you use HBX. That's both on the developer side and on the user side. But all fees will have to be paid in HBX. Gas and things like that will have to be paid in HBX.
How about the rest of the team? So you have yourself as the Director of Business Development, and you have Eric, Timothy, Waleed. Tell me a little bit about how you guys, you mentioned previously that you met up at a meetup group in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And decided to just launch it. And are you guys all working on full time now?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and have been since I think it's nearly our year anniversary for Hyperbridge. I would have to look, maybe even a bit longer. So that's how myself and Tim had a previous business relationship. You mentioned one of the companies, the tech companies that I dealt with here. It was a Toronto-based company, but so myself and Timothy knew each other. I knew that he was interested in cryptocurrency, so we started to go to meetups together, to conferences, and I met Eric. And I suppose on a strictly personal level, we met each other. We just got on personally. Then we started to look at, I suppose, talk about different things that were missing, we thought, in the market. And we had, I suppose, this idea regarding, it was initially about Hyperbridge wasn't exactly focused on what it is now, but crowdfunding was always a part of it. And we just started to expand the team. Eric knew people like Waleed and Lucas. These were tech guys that Eric knew, and they were very highly sought after. It wasn't easy to attract these people. And then from the business standpoint, a lot of the people I know are advisors on the team. So you're looking at somebody like John King Burns, who has decades of experience in corporate finance and corporate structuring worldwide. Rob Dawson, who was one of the head of marketing for Lego in Denmark. And we have a local advisor here in Vancouver, Dr. Peter Chow White, who's the head of communications at Simon Fraser University. We really, to be honest, you look at some of this space, some of the less reputable companies that have been uber successful and haven't done much afterwards. I really do believe it will be. We have done everything in our power to do things correctly. We've taken good, strong advisors in the different areas where we were weak, We've taken their advice. We have, I suppose, you've talked about there is no technical CEO. That is mainly because on strategic decisions, we have all agree, by and large, we've all agree or we come to agreement pretty quickly. On the smaller tactical decisions, Eric takes the technology decisions. That's obvious, myself and Tim would be more on the business side. But we've a strong team, we've a strong team of 10 people who are full time, who've been working on this for a long time. We're going to have a fully functioning beta by the time we release, or by the time we have our public token sale. So we're way ahead. We're in the top couple of percentile, and I have invested in public token sales myself, and I know that we are.
And you have Lucas, who's responsible for doing all the UI and the graphics and the user interface.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I can send you over some things afterwards. There's already the front end and the back end are already more or less bridged. Like, our graphics are. We often say to each other how lucky we are to have Lucas. Lucas is an extremely talented guy, and he's done sterling work on all our UI and UX. And I think that's another thing that's been missing from this space. Obviously, everybody talks about, in inverted commas, the killer app, and obviously this makes a lot of sense. You need to have an application that my mother will use, and she doesn't need to know that it's a blockchain app or a decentralized application, but they also need to look pretty, and that's not something the space is known for. BlockHub looks pretty. We have a working prototype. BlockHub looks pretty. It's functioning.
Yeah, so users can go online now to preview.blockhub.gg and take a look at the prototype.
Yeah, and we're going to run a bounty after our sale, just kind of, I suppose, a bug bounty, or whether it's visual bugs or whether it's actual bug bounties. So we're going to keep improving that.
So when you launch, do you have publishers and developers on board who will be? Have you onboarded any people yet, or are you guys in the process? Or you mentioned you're in talks with some.
Yeah, we will. I can 100% guarantee that. I don't want to obviously mention any names because we've signed multiple MOUs. Now, MOUs aren't exactly contract, but yes, I can 100% guarantee that there will be game development studios the BlockHub will be populated, that users will be able to buy games, will be able to fund games if they so wish.
Exciting, yeah. It looks great, the design, and we're excited to see the next release. And when is that going to be for the live release?
I don't want to give a date and to not be 100% correct. I would think we're 4 weeks to the day to launch. I would think our next milestone is probably just before the end of the token sale. We're going to have a fully fledged beta by the time we mint the tokens.
Great. And so the token sale ends on what date? I have that in front of me here.
December the 10th.
December 10th. Okay.
Yeah.
So a couple months from now.
Yeah. So we start in 1 month, and we have obviously a month long. And then, December the 10th is the day where we hope it will all have been worthwhile. I'm confident that it will have been.
Yeah, I wish you guys all the best luck, and we're excited to see the final version and how the token sale goes. And,
okay.
Use the platform when it's ready.
Yeah, for sure. I'll let you be one of the first.
Joe, it was great talking to you today, and I really appreciate you taking the time. And I want to be mindful of your time, and this is great having you on to discuss Hyperbridge and upcoming release that you guys have for BlockHub. We're looking forward to using it and trying it out, and we're happy to have you back on the podcast to discuss further after the next release. And you're always welcome to come on and talk about it and share with us the development progress you guys have been making. If you guys have announcements with new projects that are coming on, listeners can join the bounty campaign that Hyperbridge is currently live on our platform on Bounty 0x. Users can join in and complete some tasks and earn some tokens. I highly recommend anyone listening do that if they're interested in it. So, Joe, where can our listeners learn more about Hyperbridge and BlockHub and follow you guys?
Our website is www.hyperbridge.org. All our social media channels are on that. We're pretty active across Telegram. We've got community managers in Telegram. If anybody has any kind of, I suppose, questions, I would say go to our Telegram for updates, and everything would be Twitter and Facebook. But we hired a social media manager, so they're getting our faces on Instagram, which if you see my face, I don't have a face for Instagram, so it's not great for me, but we're on every single social media channel.
All right, and we'll include a link in the show notes below to where users can go, and we'll have a summary of what we discussed in the show notes.
Okay.
So it's a pleasure talking to you. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Bounty Zero X podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our podcast below. Check out bountyzerox.io, the #1 bounty hunting platform where you can complete work and earn cryptocurrency. Please consult your professional financial investment and tax advisors before making any investment in initial coin offerings. Bounty Zero X does not provide investment or financial advice and does not endorse or recommend investment in any ICOs advertised on the Bounty Zero X podcast or website.